CMMCS returned to action at Brands Hatch on the 19th of August, with an exciting double-header with both Super Saloons and Tin Tops running their own races. Qualifying for the Super Saloons saw 14 cars take to the track, with Adrian Bradley setting the pace in his BMW E46. Lincoln City got back to winning ways at the weekend after a 3-1 victory over Port Vale at Cinderbank on Saturday. Matt Green headed home the opener for the Imps before Port Vale's Danny Pugh equalised on the stroke of half-time. Second half goals from Michael Boswick and Luke Waterfall wrapped up the win for Lincoln, as they move up a place into 10th in League 2 and close within 2 points of the playoffs. Starting with League 2, Fomitel carried through their strong pace with a 1-2 finish for Lucas Auer and Esteban Gutierrez, with their newest challenger Jerome D'Ambrosio almost half a second off the pace. Dams Viant had their strongest showing of the season, as new boys Mirko Bortolotti and Nelson Piquet Jr. both ended in the top 6, while James Collado did a fantastic job to put his Real in the top 10. MotoGP legend Marc Marquez had a decent showing in the Force India, with the 13th fastest time, while Naruhiro Matsushita and Marino Sato didn't get the most out of the dome in 14th and 16th. Charles Pic and Felipe Drogovic were narrowly slower than their teammates in 19th and 20th, but could their performances put them in the spotlight for a full-time drive in the near future?
And that takes me on to my point in terms of how everything panned out the way it did, and that was heavily contributed by a bit of stewarding that didn't quite go to plan really for, how it should have been, Will, because the last safety car period on the penultimate lap initially said the laps cars cannot overtake. Then they changed their mind, but only to allow those in between Lewis and Max to overtake and not all of the back markers. This is the talking point. Why did they change their mind? And why did they only allow those particular laps cars through and not all of them? There's got to be some form of theory behind this, because the stewards, from what I've learned, have broken their own rule.
Crown to date, but the hopes for post-Schumacher dynasty never materialised. Ferrari recruited Alonso for 2010, and Raikkonen instead opted for a stint in the World Rally Championship, and even tried his hand in NASCAR. Raikkonen began exploring the possibility of a Formula 1 comeback, and for 2012 signed for the Enstone-based team, then operating as Lotus. The squad thrived for 2 years, and Raikkonen bagged 2 popular wins prior to rejoining Ferrari alongside Alonso. We go on board for a lap of the Circuit of the Americas in Austin. Up the hill towards a blind left bend, you brake just as you go past the red and white curbs on the outside, down to 3rd gear for rotation and 4th for the exits. Through the sweeping right of turn 2 prior to the slalom chicanes, 7th gear for turns 3, 4 and 5, and then 6th gear for turns 6 and 7. Drop down. Next, Leeds Rhinos have signed Papua New Guinean international Wellington Albert on a month's trial. The 24-year-old has joined after his former club Widnes Vikings had gone into administration. The prop joined Widnes from PNG Hunters last year and made 12 appearances during the 2018 season. That's all for your sports.